That's a good idea. Yes, sir.
Grayson, this is Flurry.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Be sure that you give Mr. Latier a very comfortable seat up there, okay?
Hey, he's two down from me.
Okay, good. Many prayers that have been sent up on my behalf. We thank you for the answered prayers. We know that all gifts come from you, O God. And we thank you for a safe journey home and good report. I pray for the council today that we may have wisdom and compassion.
Here.
Councilman Nicholson,
Present.
Councilman Butcher,
Here.
Councilman Fleury,
Here,
Councilman Green,
I'm here.
and Councilman Bowles.
he's running a few minutes, but he will be here. Is there a motion on the table to approve
So moved,
the
Mr.
minutes
Chair.
of, Tuesday, August 11th, 2020?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, y'all help me there. Who made what? I can't quite tell.
Green made the motion, Mr. Chair.
Butcher second.
Clerk have that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you kindly. All right, I'm gonna this time, Madam Vice Chair, if Mr. Roy Griggs is in the audience, would you please, direct him to the front so he can give his presentation at this time?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Green and Councilwoman Taylor.
Mr. Griggs?
Councilman Fleury, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Griggs could not be here today. I am David Arbery, and I'm standing on his behalf.
Okay, thank you very kindly, David.
Yes, sir. Chairman Fleury, Vice Chair Fuller, all the honorable members of the Shreveport City Council, honorable mayor, staff, standing today, I'm David Arbery, representing the concerned business people of Shreveport, here to bring forth the second installment of $1,000 contribution and commitment body cameras for the Shreveport Police Department. Mr. Griggs called me about 45 minutes ago, and things are moving. Everybody's making preparation with certainly inventory, staffing, and a lot of issues, and said that since I couldn't be here the first time, being his vice chair, I need to step up and represent today. So I am here. I'm excited to just say that it's we consider it a privilege to be able to support this initiative. Gene Mosley is here with me. I also Barry from Superior Steakhouse and the Superior Grill family, and Origin Bank certainly has been a strong supporter and contributor, along with Home Federal, and Carter Federal, and many others. And we just want you to know that we saw an opportunity, we were asked to step up, and we are singularly focused on making a difference in this community, and we're very pleased to bring forth, again, today, the second installment and contribution to the tune of $100,000. Thank you. And I see Mr.
Any council member would like to be recognized at this time?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Please.
David, I'd just like to say thank you for working so hard, you and Mr. Griggs and everybody that assisted, and thank you for all of your great work. Did you say Gene Mosley was here?
Yeah, Gene Mosley,
Gene.
here representing Griggs Enterprise. And
Gene,
and
where's Gene? Gene, make sure you tell Coach Mosley I call your name, all right? All right.
Okay. And Mr. Lemar Fluker, I didn't mention his name. Certainly, he's been a major contributor. And
Jimmy Hall representing Linda Bernanke, Fire Tech.
Jimmy Hall is with Fire Tech Systems, representing Linda Bernanke. So thank you all for allowing us to come today, Chief. We're happy to help.
And thank you again for the donation. And Chief Mitchell can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the intent for bid is out on Bids Inc. now. And so we are accepting bids for the body cameras. We hope to have those implemented within the near future. And we really appreciate it. We could not have done it without these contributions, so thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll just add my thanks to other members of the council. This contribution will have an immediate and significant positive impact on our operations of the police department. So I can't thank you enough for your support of the city. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I also want to echo what Councilman Nicholson said and Councilman Green. This is exactly what we need in the city of Shreveport. These public-private partnerships. This is going to benefit the citizens of Shreveport for many years to come, and I appreciate the private businesses stepping up and helping us out. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. And I just want to echo the big check. Before Roy got involved, we were very proud, Superior Steakhouse, Superior Grill, and they gave a real nice five-figure sum as a part of this, and I want to applaud them. They and Griggs Enterprise are our leading donors, so it's a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Bowman, did you want to say a few words before they leave?
No, I think everybody, I heard them in the back, so I think everybody pretty much said what I had to say. They know how I feel. I appreciate you, Mr. David, of course, Mr. Griggs, and all the others involved. I think I see Mr. Fluker's in the back. I appreciate you all in this endeavor, as it is much needed in Shreveport, so thank you all.
too, David, would like to extend my deepest appreciation to all the members of that group for what you have done for this city, and say again, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Chairman Fleury,
The mayor speak at this time you want.
Chairman, can we recognize can we make our rest of our council recognitions, or are you ready to move? Are we still on Griggs?
I'm not sure I heard that. Help me.
Are you asking for more statements regarding the body cams?
Okay, I got you. Okay, all right. Mayor Perkins, do you have any award? I'm sorry, does any other council member have any awards, recognitions at this, distinguished guests to recognize at this time?
Yes, sir. Chairman Fleury, I would like to recognize the president of the SPOA as well as Mark Westella at this time.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. We're praying for you. Good afternoon, Vice Chairman, the City Council, and the Mayor. I am Mike Lee Carter, President of the Shreveport Police Officers Association, and we do have Resolution 100 on your docket today, represented by Councilwoman Fuller, myself, Mark Wastella, and SPOA Attorney Pamela Breedlove is here if you have any questions for us.
I do have questions specifically pertaining to the legality of presenting this particular legislation the way it has been presented. There's some question as to whether or not our charter allows for us to modify a budget line in this way in order to create this increase in salaries.
Madam Vice Chairman, I'd like to defer that to the attorney.
Could you speak to that? While you're making your way to the microphone, I will say that my intention is to postpone this today, but I still would appreciate you all being here for this clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You do have the authority to do this because in this situation, you've already adopted a budget that includes this amount of money for salaries for the Shreveport Police Department. You're not changing it from one department to another or one type of expense to another. So it is within your legal authority to do so.
Thank you for that. The other question is about the recurring revenue stream, and I believe it's because of the 2% that is also a part of this annually. That 2%. Mr. Guastella, could you actually speak to how you've accounted for that and how it actually is adjusted from the lower ranks to the higher ranks?
That would be additional money. The 2% is allocated. That's a recurring expense that's based off of the origins of it, of course, with the fire department from the 2% longevity law. And we've extended it into a resolution for police and fire, so it's a legal it's a legal requirement that they do so until they change that rule. And we extended down to the 1 and 2 years of service personnel as well. So that money is appropriated in the first year anyway. So I incorporated that from longevity to base because according to the law, when it comes to our side with the Turner versus Shreveport rule in 1983, however you give longevity, whether it's base or on longevity or any other form, is it's 2%, regardless of what the express purpose is. So the 2% longevity will be allocated in addition to the particular raise, so it's added to it to lessen the cost of it.
Great. Okay. That's all I have. I turn the floor to my colleagues if they have any additional questions for you. Thank you for coming up for this.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I don't have any questions, but I'll just say how much I appreciate the time and attention you've given to this proposed pay raise. Nobody has helped me work through the numbers to the extent the two of you have, and I think your work will be very helpful to the council in coming up with a solution to what is a very serious and pressing problem, which is paying our firefighters and police officers fairly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it?
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, sir.
I need to ask, I'd like to ask Carter before they sit down. Dr. Carter, I understand the gentleman next to you is the union lawyer, is that correct?
No, the lady here to my right, Pamela Breedlove.
Next to you there.
Yes. Yeah, Chief Guastella.
I can't hear you, you're gonna have to speak real loud, please.
Chief Guastella is an assistant chief at SFD. He is a subject matter expert in municipal budgets, and we've employed him for about 12 years now.
Okay. Okay, the lady there, maybe who will respond, should it not be in the mix here, I'm just asking now, should it not be in the mix that the city attorney would render some type of legal opinion in regards to the legality of this? I just a question.
I mean, I can't tell the
And we
city.
hadn't had that.
I can't tell the city how to operate. I mean, I am a city attorney. I'm the city attorney for Grambling. I'm the city attorney, the town attorney for Gibbsland, and the town attorney for Duboc. So I'm quite familiar with municipal law, and I would be more than willing to meet with the city attorney and talk with him and discuss these issues if he has questions. But I mean, this is something that's been necessary for a long time for these officers.
Okay, well, that's all. If you're willing to meet with the city attorney, that would accomplish, I think, what we all would like to see done. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, will you indulge me one more moment?
Okay, anyone else from council?
Do you mind? I'd like
Hearing
to-
none, we'll move on to the mayor. Perkins, do you have any awards, recognition, distinguished guests at this time?
Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman.
I think the vice chair had some additional comments to make. I'll yield until she's complete.
Oh, okay, well, I can't hear, so no one help me out.
Yep.
They're all silent.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair, go ahead.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Chief Wolverton, but do you mind coming up?
I'm having a hard time hearing, so you correct me anytime, Vice Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Chief Wolverton, I've spent some time with your people today and yesterday, and there was something that came up in public safety last week that I'd like you to just readdress for me. It's about the revenue that comes in from EMS. You gave a pretty significant number. Would you just review that for me?
Yes, we collect our EMS billing revenue by city ordinance. Most recent one was passed last year, where y'all increased the ALS 1, ALS 2, and BLS transport rate, and also the treatment no transport charge also, based off BLS and ALS response. We also receive a Medicaid reimbursement from the state. It's for the UPL, what's called upper payment limit for large urban governments. So we participate in that also. We also collect about roughly $130,000 each year on our memberships, EMS Life Care memberships.
So because of the work that's coming through, and just, will you give us the Schoolhouse Rock breakdown of what's happening? So someone gets picked up and taken to a hospital, and that gets billed to their insurance?
It gets billed to the insurance and also the individual also.
Okay, so then they pay, and that's funding that's going back into our general.
Based off what, yes ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I've got that right. And the other thing is, I got an email last week from a constituent that has been looking at the budget, and they noticed that there's like, for 2018, like 46,000 calls that were for all of fire, right?
I think
or
it's
was it-
more about 40 in 2018.
Yes, sir.
I think it's going to be more around 45 in 2018, but just off the top of my head.
But he pulls out that like 1,200 of them were fired, like for actual
Yes,
fire.
between 12 and 1,300 are usually fired. We're pretty flat on fires.
And then the rest of them are medic calls.
Medic calls, public service calls, things of that nature. Not all, but the majority of the remaining are EMS calls.
Can you tell us kind of what those break down to, just like ballpark, like not like percentages, but what kind of calls specifically they're going out on to make up tens of thousands of calls for medic?
On EMS calls, anywhere from motor vehicle accidents, cardiac arrest, seizures, diabetic emergencies, all the way down to, trauma, falls, slips. It's a large EMS range.
With the uptick we've had, like with shootings and stuff, I know we've talked about that a lot, but that means that your medics are going out for all of those calls, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that you probably have specific stations that might be seeing like 4,000 to 5,000 calls annually just for trauma of that type?
Probably not upwards of 4,000 calls. I think Station 4 is our busiest station, based off the annual report that's on the website. Our 2019 annual report should be on there. I think they're right under about 4,000 total calls. I'd have to break that down on what are fires and what are EMS calls.
But it's still a significant number.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, that's one station.
That's one fire
making
station.
probably about a third of what Bossier Parish does completely. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that was the one thing I wanted. So we're saying like literally, we have one station doing 4,000 calls of whatever nature for medic, where Bossier is doing like for a year, like 15,000.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
That would probably be an accurate comparison.
Okay, I just, I think that when you have that imagery, it's tangible. And I just wanted to give that visual to the community. Thank you. That's all I have for you today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman Floyd.
Okay. Okay, did we have any other councilmen at this time? Now then, we'll go to the mayor. Mayor Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any awards, recognition?
Yeah, I have some comments, and I have a couple of appointees that I'd like to bring up at the end. The comments starts with looking at the weather. We have possible hurricane or tropical storm winds and flash flooding that'll be impacting our area over the next couple days. We've been placed under a tropical storm watch now until Thursday, expecting 4 to 6 inches of rain, but if storm shifts to the west, we will most likely get more wind and rain in our area. Also, the Shreveport Fire Department deployed a team of 5 to Lafayette on Monday, but our water rescue team is back en route to Shreveport since we are most likely to take a direct hit from the storm. We have a mandatory callback for full SFD staffing for the Wednesday and Thursday shift. We will also bring an extra medic unit and engine company in service since we expect a high call volume during the storm. We'll have water rescue resources pre-positioned and ready to go. We have been passing out sandbags, 25 per vehicle at 3825 Old Mansfield Road from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. We will be doing that all week, and we had a huge run on bags today. We've given out over 5,000 sandbags just today. And just for context, we got 13,000 from the state. The parish got 13,000 additional from the state as well, and we had about 3,500 on hand. So we're rough math, we're around 10 to 11,000 sandbags remaining, and we're filling them up as quickly as we can. Our team is ready to serve our citizens. We have been working to clear debris for drainage for better water flow, monitoring levels at Cross Lake in case we need to reopen the gates, checking water pumps and generators, and Public Works is ready to remove any fallen trees due to bad weather. I know we've been working with several council members on clearing drainage ditches in their area, so if you hear from your constituents, let us know so we can get to it. I want to continue to stress the importance of the census. We need to make sure Shreveport is counted. Anyone who still needs to complete the census can call 844-330-2020. One more time, 844-330-2020. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I have appointees present if the council would like to ask them some questions at this time.
Who are you? You got, superintendent?
We have Mr. Daniels from Water and Sewer, who's been in our last 2 meetings. You want him to come up first? We have Jarvis Morgan as well. You want me to just tell them all to come up and sit on the front row or stand?
I think if they just sit on the front, I don't know if anybody have any questions or anything for them. I know we asked one of the questions from last week, so I would just say, yeah, just bring them up to the front. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any seats up there.
Yeah, Mike, well, you guys, we got 3, so we can just tell them to kind of stand out to the side. All right, Jarvis, you already work for us, so you can go first.
Mr. Jarvis, are you sure about this? I mean, you know, you've been here, so you already know.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what you're getting into, and you're here for it.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been very responsive to emails and very helpful, so I appreciate you being willing to go ahead and step up.
Thank you.
I think that's all I have to say too. I appreciate your willingness to serve, of course, but for being responsive and probably taking on more than what you should have. But I appreciate all the texts and the emails and the callbacks. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Jarvis, thank you for doing your job the way that you do, because I know that I call you probably every other day, early in the morning, and I try not to bother you late in the evening. But Mr. Mayor, I do have a storm drain, drain that I need for Jarvis to put on his list.
Oh, yeah.
For sure on Maple Street. He already knows that.
Yes,
though.
ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, I feel the same way, and thank you for agreeing to accept additional responsibility for the city.
All right. Thank you.
Also, Jobs, thank you, so that I can take some of the burden off Gary, because I call him every day.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you leave me your cell number.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will.
Okay, can't leave me out. No, I communicate with Gary quite frequently, and every time I call him, he says, "Let me get Jarvis on that." So obviously, you must be doing a good job. So, and I know that he needs some help, and y'all do a great job over there, and I look forward to working with you even more.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morgan,
I hear you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to tell everybody in the city of Shreveport, this is one of the great hires that this mayor made. This man came to us from Texas, already schooled in drainage, and he has done an outstanding job in the street department. He deserves this appointment, and the mayor is showing us that he has recognized your good talent. So I don't have anything but the highest regard for you, and I look forward to you doing a wonderful job out there, as you have already done. So you keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad to see the mayor promoting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that was the easiest one. Any other comments? All right, we'll have Mr. Daniels step up as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ms.
From the
Taylor?
looks of your resume, Mr. Daniel, it seems like you prepared for the task, and I don't think it's probably any better opportunity than right now in the midst of a storm that you have your work cut out for you for sure. So I congratulate you and willing to support you and help in any way that I can.
Thank you, Councilwoman Taylor. I'm looking forward to the challenge, I assure you. And from what I can gather, there's physical storms, and then there's the other kind of storms that we're facing. So I've got a staff meeting starting here shortly, so I'm ready to get to work.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. I'll just add my congratulations and thanks to Mr. Daniel. I've laughed a couple of times looking at your resume about the fact that you list 3 terms in the state legislature as miscellaneous additional experience. You really, you've got an extraordinary resume. You couldn't have a stronger background for this position, and I appreciate your willingness to step up to the challenge, as we've all discussed many times around the horseshoe since we got elected. The consent decree program and its management really is one of the greatest challenges facing the city, and I hope that you are able to help us continue to get that back on track. But thank you for being willing to serve the city.
I think I said my 2 cents, but I wasn't supposed to last week, so I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. I call, I'm sure you've met him, Don Hobday. I call him every day about 7, 8 times a day. He's one of the top workers over there, so,
I'll make sure everyone has my cell phone number.
all right.
Councilman.
All right, next up we
In
have.
fact, I'll give it to you right now. If you don't mind the 225 area code, 225-281-3792. I look forward to hearing from you. And I'm 24/7, so call me whenever you like.
Don't say that.
So brave. Give him 2 weeks to review.
All right, next up we have Mr. Sepulveda coming in for the permits and inspection, Chief Building Officer, official.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Sepulveda, thank you so much for everything that you did to assist with the cleanup in MLK. I really, really appreciate it. I look forward to the things that we'll implement for the city and in District A. So congratulations
Thank you,
on your
ma'am.
appointment.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Spotsville, have I met you before?
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, I want to tell you that I
This
want
looks
to
a
just.
little bit different.
Okay, I just want you to know that I really appreciated when we were getting ready to build our church and we were struggling and we needed a contractor, but we didn't have the money for a contractor, and you gave me some information that the state of Louisiana allows a church to be its own contractor.
Yes.
And you assisted us in getting our plans to Baton Rouge. They came back.
Right.
And you went out of your way to help us, and we're forever grateful to you, and you've always been great. So thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
I think you're good to go.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
And the last appointment I have is Mrs. Kimball. You all spoke to her last council meeting, but she's here as well if you have any questions prior to the vote.
I think everyone is okay with Ms. Kimball, but I don't know if y'all have any. Ms. Kimball, we just know that you go come and do a great job, so no one had anything for you, the luckiest person today.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kimball. All right, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks and the review of my appointments.
Hey, Mayor, I just wanted to make sure everything concluded there. Does any member have any questions or concerns relative to property standards for Mr. Terrence Green?
Mr. Green?
Yes, ma'am.
Jerry Bowman Jr., do you have anything? No?
Mr. Green,
Yes, ma'am.
can you give me an update on Dawn Seafood, please?
The work on Don Seafood is supposed to start tomorrow.
What about the Long John Silver on Kings Highway across from the castle where Mr. Councilman Bowman works?
Actually, we have not, it was supposed to go to First JDC. With the changeover for environmental court, I'll check on it and see how that comes into play, and I'll let you know on it.
Okay, then let Miss Lisa know. I'll be calling her from a ride-along soon.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Green, you and I have talked about a home in the 700 block of Huron, just because of the number of calls and emails I've received about that. I'll say I appreciate your commitment to addressing that, and just for the public know that I have discussed that with property standards.
Mr. Green, can you give us an update on environmental court? Where are we at with it? How are things moving along?
Things are moving along well. It's basically, we pretty much have most of the paperwork together. We'll have a meeting next week with Danielle and Thea and Ms. Shanerica. And once we have that meeting, we'll give them the caseload. Once we give them the caseload, we'll have a mock trial later on, and 15 days, letters will probably be going out to the owners that have filed appeals to show up to court. We're looking at that as end of September, beginning of October sometime.
Good. Okay, if we can help with anything, let us know.
Okay.
Nope, you know my issues, we addressed them earlier today, I appreciate it.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, I'm an email, so.
Gotcha.
Think that's it?
That's it?
Yeah.
All right.
We can start, we can make something up.
No, we're good. All right.
Okay, Mr. Clark, do you have a master plan committee meeting today, a report, I'm sorry?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Council,
Yes.
the Master Plan Committee, the Master Plan Advisory Council, they're still coordinating to determine a meeting place for the Advisory Council. We have some discussions going on as far as the safety of having a meeting, and some of the members prefer a virtual meeting, some prefer a live meeting, so we haven't exactly resolved that. But as we resolve that, we're still working internally on, we've done all the review of all the recommendations, over 300 recommendations with the master plan. We're looking at what's been done to accomplish these recommendations. As you well know, we're in 2020, and the great expectations was for 2030. So by 2030, we should have all of these things accomplished, and we're very hopeful that we will. We're making those recommendations to the MPC board. We will make a presentation to the City Council. We'll make a presentation to the Long Range Planning Committee of the Parish Commission and the Caddo Parish Commission. Having a little problem. Maybe I take this thing off and I don't pass out. We're also doing a whole lot of things with annexation, de-annexation. We're doing some recommendations out in the outlying parish areas in reference to doing comparison to the existing code that is in place, the Unified Development Code. I see some representatives from Greenwood here. We're also looking at the codes in Greenwood and Blanchard, because those areas we encircle just like we encircle the city of Shreveport. And as we try to make the code more compatible with the areas in which the actual areas are and the residents that live there, we're meeting also with the towns as we constantly meet with the city of Shreveport and get the information and the ideologies from the city of Shreveport. We're very optimistic that by the end of the year, we will have a roadmap on how we will achieve the goals of the master plan. And by that time, we feel very confident that we will have made a presentation to you and answered questions that you may have. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions?
Happy anniversary, Mr. Clark, to you and your beautiful wife.
Thank you so much. We spent our anniversary in the most beautiful place in the whole wide world, and that was in Caddo Parish.
Well said. Good answer.
All right, did everyone receive the budget and actual financial report? Any questions on that?
We should have that to you all
The public
tomorrow.
hearing, Ms. Ewing?
No
Ms.
public,
Ewing is
no public
scheduled
hearing.
yet today?
There's no public hearing scheduled today.
No, sir.
I didn't hear.
No, sir.
Okay, all right, clerk, do we have public comments?
There are public comments, and I've been asked to read a letter from Councilman Bowman, if I can do that at this time before we start with public comments.
Okay.
Dear Chief Raymond, I'm writing this letter to express my sincere appreciation for the Shreveport Police Department's swift response to the shooting at Oshner LSU Health St. Mary's Medical Center on Wednesday, August 12th. Your team led the effort and worked with other law enforcement agencies within the state and out of state to ultimately capture the subject the same day of the shooting. Thankfully, there were no fatalities in the shooting. However, one person was injured with non-life-threatening condition. Our team has worked to care for those impacted by this incident and return hospital operations back to normal. The diligence and professionalism of the police department made it easy for the hospital administration to focus its attention on patients and staff during a very difficult time. The Shreveport Police Department represented the best of law enforcement. In this case, showed the care and concern it had for its city. Once again, thank you for serving us well during the shooting. Your efforts were a testament to your commitment to protect not only those at St. Mary's Medical Center, but the community at large. Sincerely, Jerry Bowman, Jr.
Thank you, Chief, and you can get that, we can get that letter to you if you want to come up and get it, you can give it to them. But thank you for your efforts and those from the other agencies. We have a letter for them as well, but Shreveport Police and Chief Raymond was there on the scene itself and stayed there throughout the entirety of this incident. And I just wanted to say, on behalf of the hospital, I appreciate it. Thank you. Public comment.
We have the following requests to speak. Barbara Sellers.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of Council. Thank you for the opportunity to address everybody today. I wanted to personally thank Councilwoman Taylor and Councilwoman Fuller for coming out and riding with our men and women and just experiencing the Shreveport Fire Department. We don't take that lightly, because today, in present times, you're putting yourself at risk with working among the COVID crisis. So thank you for putting that sacrifice forward to get to know the firefighters. We appreciate that. Just coming back to the table, just to remind everybody, the firefighters are absolutely at the table watching today and believing that council will stand with all of public safety. We thank you for the very ominous task that you have before you. We know this is not easy, but we know that at the end of the day, public safety will be inclusive and we'll make sure that the right thing occurs. We as an organization, the Shreveport Firefighters Association Local 514, historically has been at that table whenever there has been any type of ballot initiative that advanced public safety. We have not only put forward our time, we've put forward our members' treasure and talent to do so. I have a book here that was created actually when Mayor Tyler took office, just to give an overview of who Local 514 is. We are not braggadocious by nature, maybe to a fault. Maybe we should be telling more of our story. But I'm going to share this with everybody. I'm going to send you a digital copy, and there's so much more that could be added. But it will highlight some of the things that we've done on the local level with ballot initiatives as well as the state level. We also have had a GIS, Geographical Information Study, that was done in 2017. Some of you may have had a copy of that. I'm going to provide it again for each member of council. It's a digital copy that was put together. It was a collaborative effort by the International Association of Firefighters, as well as our department, and our department heads were very engaged in getting that put together. It's an overview in 2017 of what our department should look like today. And unfortunately, at present, because of the crises that we're all trying to manage within public safety, we've lost pieces of equipment as opposed to adding those necessary pieces of equipment to make sure that our citizens and our visitors are safe. So I'm going to provide that to you as well. And there's one other piece that I'm going to provide. I know I only have the 3-minute time frame, but just to give you some insight about what we have done collaboratively with the international and here locally, and how we have brought in services that have saved our citizens money through Safer Money. This book will highlight some of that, how we've hired classes with the Safer Act, as well as AFG grants, bringing in grants, large amounts of money that we lobby for at the national level, as well as being very engaged at the state and the local level. So we look forward to sitting down with any member of council that will absolutely meet with us. We will be happy to share our story. We will be happy to share what we are willing to do as an organization. And I just once again ask that you include fire in any measure to advance public safety. Thank you for your time.
Is Mr. Arsenault still here? Okay. Mr. Charles Grubb?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, I'm Charles Grubb. My address is 400 Travis Street, Suite 1222, Shreveport, 71101. I'm here today as I serve as General Counsel to the Caddo Parish 911 Communication District. Ms. Carter, the Executive Director, is ill today and asked me to come just give brief remarks about Resolution Number 106, which is on your agenda for introduction today. This is a continuation of a program that the district has undertaken in partnership with the city, the sheriff's office, the other public safety agencies of the parish since 2017. It's going on about a 3-year project now. Last year, as you recall, y'all authorized an agreement with the district whereby the Shreveport Fire Department and Shreveport Police Department are going to get new radios to replace radios that have been here since 2001 and are obviously beyond their technological useful life. Once this project is completed, all of the public safety agencies of the city, as well as non-governmental agencies of the city and the parish, will have up-to-date modern radios with interoperability. What's before y'all today is a resolution authorizing an agreement to whereby the district will afford these radios or make these radios available at the city's cost to non-public safety agencies, particularly Public Works Department, Water and Sewer Department, and just went blank on what the other department is. But anyway, as a means of background, this is part of a $12.5 million system that's being installed throughout the parish. The SPAR is the other department, of course. Once these radios are purchased, it's 480 radios at a cost of about $569,000. They come with a 3-year warranty that will kick in once the radios, once the system is accepted later this fall. During the 3-year warranty period, there's no monthly user fees for the radio system maintenance as currently outlined within the existing agreement. Upon the expiration of the system's warranties, the city under this agreement will pay $5 per month per radio to offset the district's expense and ongoing maintenance of the radio system. This is the same price as the city's been paying in the past for the current radio system. And during the warranty period, the district will provide depot-level maintenance for the radio units to the agencies. After the expiration of the warranty, the city's departments will have to secure their own contracts for maintenance because once the radios are paid for, they become the property of the district. I'm sorry, they become the property of the city.
Mr. Grubb, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Well, that's a quick 3 minutes. Can I just say that the switchover will take place for the non-public safety agencies at the end of September, and once that 30-day period is up to test the system through the non-public safety agencies, the public safety radios will then be switched over, which would be the Shreveport Fire, Shreveport Police, and Sheriff's Office.
Before you leave the podium, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Grubb about this? Or anything else they want to add to this?
Mr. Grubb, did you have anything else you want to say?
No,
That would
sir.
be my question.
I just got a little long-winded, like lawyers tend to do.
We
Thank you.
realized it was something like this.
Thank you, Mr. Grubb.
Related to the parish, and us, we could have tried to recognize you as a guest before. You wouldn't have been as limited, so I apologize for that.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
Y'all, I got a text from Chairman Fleury. He's gonna step away. I got your text, Chairman. I'm gonna go ahead and, you want me to take the gavel for the remainder unless you write back? Okay.
Fine.
All right. Next is Marika McKenzie. Apologize if I didn't pronounce your name correctly.
You did just fine. I've heard worse.
Mayor Perkins, the chairman in his absence, the vice chairman, Madam Fuller, and the rest of the council, staff, this audience. My name is Marika McKenzie. I'm a consultant civil engineer, and
I'm sorry, this is your first time being here. I should remind you, you should give us your address and then you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
sure. I have an office at 333 Texas Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. And this is my first time being here, first time seeing each of you. But I'm an engineer and I have 20 plus years of experience. I started my company about 4 years ago, and I wanted to just go around and introduce myself to different towns and cities. And we're based in Clinton, Mississippi, between Vicksburg and Jackson. And we are an engineering firm, and we do water, sewer, drainage, street improvement work. And I went to LSU, got a master's degree there, went to Mississippi State, got my bachelor's degree there. Also went to New Orleans Seminary, where I got a MDiv. And I spent a lot of time in Louisiana, got a child at Xavier University in New Orleans. We have an office in New Orleans. Also, we have an office in Birmingham, Alabama. We have our headquarters in Clinton. And we just started an office here in Shreveport just a little while ago, a few weeks ago actually. But we're interested in serving Shreveport. And I'm a civil engineer. I like to do water plant work. We have a contract right now for the city of Jackson, working as the lead engineer for the largest water plant in the state of Mississippi. I'm licensed in 9 states, even in Wisconsin. I'm the president of the company. We have 14 employees. I started out with 2 employees 4 years ago, and we have grown rapidly. And we are looking forward to potentially serving Shreveport. We have a lot of drainage projects going on, and some out for bid now. But I just wanted to come by and introduce myself. I've never met any of you ever, and so I don't know anybody. But me being I'm a pastor at heart. I used to pastor a church. I like to meet people. I like to get out and see people and just offer my services. We put service before profit, and we aim to do a good job wherever we go. Our core values are integrity. We do everything above reproach. Honesty is important to us, and quality service, and we want to be responsive. And so we have one person here in this office in Shreveport, and we just wanted to come by and introduce ourselves. So when you see Cornerstone Engineering wherever, you can be able to put a face with a company name, and we hope to be considered on some future work, whether it be drainage, street, water. I love working on water projects, sewer projects, or whatever. So just keep us in mind. And that's all I'm here to do, just introduce myself and my firm, Cornerstone Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Colleagues, did y'all have anything to say?
Pastor, what's your number? What's your phone number?
My number is 601-941.
9 what?
941-9599.
601-941-9599?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kanya Michelle. Give your name, your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
All right, I'm Kanya Michelle. I'm at 721 Merrick. All right. It's kind of wild to me. At the same meeting today, we're facing a budgetary issue regarding our public safety employees, Well, there are members of our city council who want to extend the burden on our officers without doing enough research. Councilman Butcher, last year on this council, you shared a story about an incident in which you called in a gunshot and it took something like 25 minutes for the police to respond. Last week, Chief Whitehorn stated that issues like the one you described in your own neighborhood will continue to happen because our police are not fully staffed. Why are we extending our city limits when our police and fire are already overworked and underpaid without taking time to figure out if we can manage new space? You don't want to be responsible for your constituency to have a lack of safety and resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Kraft.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue, Shreveport, 71105. The $100,000 is so much appreciated for the body cameras. The sales tax brings in $100,000 in about 4 hours on a Saturday. If you break it down, about $25,000 an hour. The sales tax I've recommended in John's paper last Friday, and this is my 20th appearance in 2020, in the last 8 years in front of the council and previous councils, for a Lincoln on a Lincoln, a penny on a 5. If that were a $100,000 sports car that Grayson were gonna buy, it would cost him $200 extra. A salesman's not very good if he can't close the deal with Grayson over $200. The property tax, I heard, I respect Ms. Nicholson's comments 2 weeks ago, but the businessmen with whom I've spoke don't want almost 8 more mills to bring in the equivalent. Well, that's the equivalent of a 1/4 cent that the Chief Wolverton recommended. The equivalent of 0.2% is about 6.7 mil, a little less. Just decrease it by 20%. I think I'm partial. In April of 1980, to get hired, one of the 5 things I wrote was a new city jail. One of the other things I wrote is put paramedics and EMTs in the fire service. It all happened eventually. The jail and the 01 bond issue, the fire and paramedics much earlier. More recently, National Night Out, October 2nd of 2012. Chief Willie Shaw and Chief Mulford, I think Mumford, they were both at our party at 139 Archer, and I said, Chief, we're gonna lose 11 million next year if we don't renew the 1/4 cent sales tax. Oh yeah, emergency meeting, city council approved it, state bond commission, election successful, more than 2-to-1 successful. Bossier recently, 68% yes on a 13% turnout. Excuse the typo, I forgot to hit the capital on the 5. Let's do this. I heard it stated a few minutes ago, y'all have an ominous decision. Man, if I were in John's chair, it would be an easy decision for me to vote to fully fund and up-fund police and fire. They got a storm coming in. They're gonna put their lives on the line. There's already people down in southwest Louisiana. They're the ones who saved my wife in atrial fib and got her to Piermont. The cardiologist said 3 more minutes and I would have lost her. Let's do it for 2 weeks. Madam Vice Chair, I think that is appropriate. We'll have the advantage of the August sales tax revenue. Maybe we'll have an August surprise. We certainly did in July, up 10.8%. It's really not a tough decision, and it's the least regressive of the taxes. Final thing, thank you for the census. Tell your neighbors to fill it out if they haven't.
And Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101, apartment M110. Muhammad Ali always said that he was very untouchable, and on an airplane one day he said how he was untouchable. When it was learned by a flight attendant who did not like that, she told him to please sit down and buckle up, and he replied, "Superman doesn't need a seatbelt." She said, "Superman doesn't need an airplane either. Sit down and park it." Joke for the day. Now, my pastor told this joke. I had to tell it today. It was very vital. Very soon, I'll be turning money over to MDA in spite of whether we have Marco and Laura. These are just precious storms that are going to try to stop me from turning my money over, and it's not going to happen. They can do what they want, but then so will I. It'll be 32 years in the making, and it's a great cause. I love it. If it wasn't for that situation of the case, I wouldn't still be here doing it today. 3 people I knew in high school were helping MDA, and that's what made me decide to get involved in 1988, which will make 32 years that I'll be involved. And when I was on television, well, it was 23 on television until they stopped in 2011. The telethon stopped, but I didn't. I will continue and continue for as long as I possibly can to give to MDA. They're a good cause, and I love it. And I wouldn't forget one year, one lady gave me $5 just to go away, so I took that to the MDA and gave it to them too.
Thank you, Sammy.
You're welcome.
Sammy, what's your last day that you're picking up, that you're taking donations?
Probably until before September 7th, which is the deadline. So if anyone does want to step in who hasn't been able to, just let me know. I'll be glad to make sure that the deal gets done.
Thank you, Sammy. That concludes requests to speak. Chairman, shall I proceed? Is he there? I can't tell if he's there if there's a glare. Okay. We have the following executive appointments to be considered today. For Human Resources Personnel Board, Coretta Smith Kimball.
So moved.
Should we do them one at a time, or do y'all want
Don't matter. One at a time is fine.
to? Okay.
So moved.
There's a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. I'll call for the vote.
He stated that he was voting yes on all of them. I'm sorry.
But,
I don't know if that's, if you can, how
is
you
he,
can do
I
that.
can't, there's a glare, I can't tell if
He
he's
stepped
actually
away.
there.
He said he was stepping
I asked him
away.
to-
Okay.
I asked him to mute it while he stepped off, so I don't know if he unmuted or not.
Well, if he's not present, I
Right.
think we better not record his vote.
All right, congratulations on your service. Next, we have Director of Water and Sewage.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Daniel. It's a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. I call for the vote. Please welcome aboard. We look forward to making you work really, really, really. Man, it's more fun to. I didn't understand. I'm sorry. I didn't even say seriously. I don't know why I did that. It's fun to actually appoint people. That's happy. Okay. Ms. Ewing, please proceed to regular agenda legislation.
Resolution 98, encouraging the Metropolitan Planning Commission to pass a resolution to halt the acceptance of new annexation applications for a period of 6 months.
So move.
Second.
It's a motion from Councilman Bowman and a second from Councilman Butcher. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Unanimously with one absent. Let's continue.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute grant documents with the U.S. Department of Justice.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion from Councilman Green, a second from Councilman Bowman. If there's any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. And that passes unanimously. Let's continue.
Amending the pay schedule for the municipal police civil service personnel.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
And it's a second from Councilman Green. A call for the vote.
Did we give a date on postponing to, or no?
For just to the next meeting, but,
Okay.
you know, we can pick it up then, table it, whatever we need to do.
Thank you.
That passes unanimously. Let's continue.
Resolution 101, authorizing the mayor to accept a monetary donation of $98,900 from concerned business people of Shreveport to the city of Shreveport, Louisiana, to be utilized by the Shreveport Police Department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Green, a second from Bowmanshire?
Yeah.
From Bowman, okay, I call for the vote.
Big Bowman.
Bowman, okay.
Bootman. Butcherman.
Unanimously. And thank you again to concerned business people of Shreveport and taking the time to do all of that fundraising. Let's continue.
Resolution 102, authorizing the mayor to accept an in-kind donation worth $32,000 in value from the Simple Church to the city of Shreveport, Louisiana, to be utilized by the Shreveport Police Department.
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Sorry, it's like mine just, okay, there. And it passes unanimously. Let's continue.
Authorizing the mayor to dedicate the 2900 block of Milton Street in honor of Mrs. Mabel Smith.
So moved.
That's a motion from Councilman Green, a second from the vice chair. And just for the sake of discussion, Miss Mabel turned 106 back in April, and her neighbors wanted to dedicate this intersection to her. And sometime when people can maybe congregate, they're gonna go ahead and do their unveiling and everything. So I'm excited to get to see that. And I call for the
Madam Chair?
vote. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say, Mr. Mayor, this is Big Mama who, when I get low, I go by and Big Mama pray for me.
Go by
And
the other
she's
day.
interested in meeting you, and anybody need prayer, she has a prayer line that she prays for folk before day in the morning. She pray for this city, and she'd just be happy to see all of you. Whenever you get low, all you gotta do is let Big Mama pray for you, and she'll bring you through.
We need to go by and see her.
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad you recognize 2900 block of Milton, so they'll know it's your district and not mine. Go ahead.
So you don't want Big Mama in your
No,
district?
I'm just stating obvious.
Thank you,
All
Madam
right.
Chair.
Thank you. And call for the vote. And that passes unanimously. Let's continue.
Resolution 104, effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and any applicable provisions of the Shreveport UDC of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to the drive-in concert series.
So moved.
Second.
So a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman.
Madam Chair, could I have a brief explanation of what we're doing with this
We
legislation?
are allowing, there's going to be, it's unfortunately they call it drive-in, but it's going to be a tailgate, social distance tailgating, music festival put on by Mr. Snyder down at the, not the boat launch, but the skate park area. There's gonna be four Fridays in September.
Okay.
So we're gonna allow them to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call for the vote. And Ms. Ewing, proceed with the introduction of resolutions.
Resolution 105, amending and restating Resolution Number 90 of 2020, making application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission for approval of the incurring of debt and issuance by the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, of not to exceed $35 million Revenue Bond Series 2020. Resolution 106, authorizing the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Caddo Parish 911 Communications District Number 1 and the City of Shreveport relative to non-public safety agencies.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. We don't have to vote on it, but I think there might be discussion. Is there?
Well, Madam Vice Chair, I'll just continue to express my concern about the proposition of the city opening a $35 million line of credit if we open a line of credit of that nature and draw down on it, we'll in effect have a debt for current expenses that will have to be paid off in future years. I've acknowledged and will acknowledge again that COVID-19 makes this a year unlike any other in the city's history, but I am very concerned about the prospect of our borrowing money to pay current expenses. Thank you.
Councilman Bowman, did you have something?
Oh, just, I'll just piggyback on Councilman Nicholson. I think that because of the reasons that you're saying not is the reason that we should. If someone is willing, especially at a time like this, and all I hear is that Shreveport is broke, or Shreveport doesn't have this, Shreveport can't do that, and if someone is willing to extend the line of credit of $35 million to Shreveport, then I'm for it, especially during a time like this. If we were in any other financial situation, I would look at it differently, but that's how I see it for now. Thank you.
Is anyone else before we continue? All right, Mrs. Ewing, please proceed with the introduction of ordinances.
Ordinance 109, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shreveport by amending Division 9 of Article 5 of Chapter 26 relative to the Street Special Revenue Fund. Ordinance 110, an ordinance amending the 2020 General Fund budget. Ordinance 111, amending the 2020 Water and Sewerage Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 112, a series ordinance pursuant to the General Bond Ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $50 million of water and sewer revenue refunding bonds in one or more series of the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, establishing certain details of such bonds as required by the General Bond Ordinance, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds, pledging the net revenues to secure such bonds, prescribing the form, certain terms and conditions of said bonds, authorizing the use of a preliminary official statement and the preparation and distribution of an official statement, authorizing the purchase of and subscriptions for certain escrow securities, authorizing escrow verification and engagement of escrow agent, and authorizing execution and delivery of a paying agent registrar agreement. Ordinance 113, amending the Metropolitan Planning Commission's fee schedule for the City of Shreveport, Louisiana, UDC, relative to fees for the Neighborhood Participation Plan, as well as wireless telecommunications. Ordinance 114, amending various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana, UDC. Ordinance 115, closing and abandoning an additional portion of Sugarleaf Trail in the Lynbrook subdivision, Units 5 and 5A, in Section 35, Township 17 North, R14 West, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Ordinance 116, zoning case number 19313C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport, UDC, by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of Linwood Avenue and Interloop Expressway, extending approximately 134 feet west Ponderosa Trail and 145 feet north of Sugarleaf Trail, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from R17, Single Family Residential District, and C3, General Commercial District, or to OR, Office Research District.
Is there a motion to introduce these ordinances?
So moved.
It's a motion from Councilman Green, and a second from Councilman Bowman. Any discussion?
Madam Vice Chair.
Councilman Nicholson?
Madam Vice Chair, Ordinance 112 was withdrawn at a previous meeting and has been reintroduced with some changes. I would appreciate the administration's explaining what those changes are.
Madam Chair, Councilman Nicholson, the rest of the council, the reason it was pulled the last time was because there were some substantial comments back from the council that we had to address. Those comments were addressed, and we feel certain that we've included everything that needs to be included to present this to council. We also have Mr. Alec Washington here. I'm not sure if Pam Mobley is here, but they can also elaborate on what those changes were.
Ms. Mobley is in the back too.
Yeah, John, we did have several questions from, whenever we're doing these transactions, we deal with underwriters council. They have to deal with their underwriters, and they had some changes they wanted to make, including some changes to the BPA in the most recent form. The BPA being a bond purchase agreement, which is an exhibit that we put in the ordinance itself. So we made those changes, so we had to pull the ordinance because the changes wasn't just small changes, it was more substantive rather than technical, so we had to pull it.
This may be a question for Ms. Mobley rather than you, Mr. Washington, but I'll say, as I've said previously, I'm not conceptually opposed to refinancing $50 million of bonds if it saves the city money or helps us with cash flow. But if somebody in the administration has penciled out those savings, has done the math to show how much this refinancing is going to cost, all in, including fees, and what it's going to save the city or how it's going to help with cash flow, I would like to receive that information so that I can evaluate it before we vote on this legislation in 2 weeks.
I understand.
Good afternoon. I just want to go on record that the cash flow savings over the next 2 years for 2020 and 2021 is approximately $22 million that the city will not have to pay in those debt service. Now, overall, there is a cost, and there is this savings throughout the bottom part of the loan because we're pushing that to the back end. I don't have those numbers because, again, we haven't gone to market, but the reason for the deal is to do the short-term cash flow savings of $23 million.
Well, that'll be a savings to
the city.
Well, but to the water and sewer enterprise fund.
Right, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. And you don't have them with you, but you can provide to the administration the cost of the transaction.
Correct.
The net cost, which is, we're not gonna save money, it's gonna cost us money.
In the long run, yes.
Yes, over the life of the loans.
Yes.
So if I could just receive that information well in advance of the next meeting, I would appreciate it.
Okay. And
Thank
then I just want to piggyback on what Alex said. Whenever we're dealing with a big bank, Wells Fargo is the bank that's underwriting this. They always come back with their own changes from their counsel, and they were pretty substantial that we didn't want to just move papers around. We wanted you guys to make sure you saw what it was.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for discussion? Because I have one question for Councilman Green. Have you heard from the people regarding those last two items under?
No, I'll be working on.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on. Ms. Ewing, will you proceed with ordinances on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 102, amending the 2020 general fund budget, appropriating funds authorized therein.
So move.
Second.
It's a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Let's continue.
Ordinance 103, amending the 2020 general fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized herein.
So move.
Second.
It's a motion from Councilman Green and a second from Councilman Bowman. Any discussion? Call for the vote. And let's continue.
Ordinance 104, amending chapter 7, division 3 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to poles and wires.
Move to postpone.
Second.
It's a motion to postpone from Councilman Nicholson, a second from Councilman Green.
I'll just, by way of explanation for the postponement, Madam Chair, I've had communications from representatives of AT&T and SWEPO who have requested an opportunity to provide input regarding this legislation. As I indicated to the council previously, this is modeled after a law that Dallas has had in place for half a century. I do think the information that this ordinance will require users of our right-of-way to provide to the city will be useful, but I do want to give industry an opportunity to give its input before we vote on the legislation.
Thank you. Call for the vote. Is it me? See, it's lit up. That's why I was confused. And that passes unanimously. Let's continue.
Ordinance 105, amending certain portions of Chapter 38.5 of the Code of Ordinances, Shreveport, Louisiana, relative to procedures for abatement.
So moved.
So motion from Councilman Green, a second from Councilman Bowman. In discussion, I call for the vote. You might actually so I'm hearing it first.
I know you're a cat. I let you have it. I'm a cat and you're a kitten. I get it.
Yeah, the next.
All right, pass, let's continue.
Ordinance 106, levying and authorizing the collection of various taxes totaling 17.770 mils per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport, Louisiana for the year 2020, and the amounts and for the purposes described herein.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion from
Second.
Councilman Bowman, a second from Councilman Green. There's no discussion, I call for the vote. Passes unanimously, let's continue.
Ordinance 107, collection of a tax of 9.040 mils per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the bounds of the Downtown Development District on the city of Shreveport, Louisiana, as defined by LARS 33:2740.38 for the year 2020, and the amounts and for the purposes described herein.
Is there a motion? Need a motion?
So moved.
A
Second.
motion from Councilman Nicholson and a second from Councilman Bowman. There's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
I'll take this last.
Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Ordinance 108, levying of a tax of 8.8180 mils per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport, Louisiana for the year 2020 for the purpose of paying principal and interest on the outstanding general obligation bonds of the city of Shreveport.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Green, a second from Councilman Bowman. If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote. That's the conclusion of those ordinances. Mrs. Ewing, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
No.
We have no property standards or ABO appeals, but we have an appeals case, 20-47-C, that I would like to make a motion to postpone.
Second.
Second.
And it's a second from Councilman Butcher. This was a request from the appellant, and I call for the vote. All right. Are there any other appeals, Mrs. Ewing? Are there any reports from officers, boards, or committees?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Butcher?
I'd like to call a Public Safety Committee meeting. I've been kind of waiting to discuss this a little bit, to see how everything went down with the police raise. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had several meetings with the fire chief and the police chief. They have several different plans that they would like to present. I've also talked to Mayor Perkins and Chief Whitehorn a little bit about this. So I think that the most prudent way to do this, to get some public input, and also to let officers and firefighters, and I also want to include the city marshal's office in this as well. We don't hear them mentioned very much, but I do believe they're public safety, and they serve us, and we need to consider them in any raise that we do. But I think that the best forum for us to do that is another Public Safety Committee meeting. So prior to the next regularly scheduled council meeting, probably next Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when the council chambers are available, I'll call for another Public Safety Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just report for the public's benefit that we had an Audit and Finance Committee meeting before this meeting today. We discussed the GFOA's extensive report regarding the Finance Department and its suggestions for improving the department's operations. I think we had a very constructive conversation. That department still has very significant challenges, but I'm optimistic that under the leadership of Mr. Whitehorn and Ms. Jones, it will continue to move in the right direction. My goal is to have quarterly meetings going forward of the Audit and Finance Committee now that we're hopefully beyond the worst of the pandemic, so that we can keep the conversation about improving that department on track. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Ewing, Is there a clerk's report?
Yes, we received the following appointments via email on August 18th. Permits and Inspection Chief Building Official Michael Supervaldo and Superintendent of Streets and Drainage Jarvis Morgan. In addition, the Right Way Liquor Store alcohol beverage permit revocation hearing is scheduled for the next meeting on September 8th.
Thank you, Mrs. Ewing. Mayor Perkins, do you have any additional
Disappeared.
He had to step out.
He just disappeared. Okay, is there anything else from the administration?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Does any other council member have any additional communications?
Madam
Councilman
Chair.
Green?
Thank you. Madam Chair, first I'd like to just welcome our new city attorney, Ron Latier. It's his first day on the job up here, and just say welcome. And also on Monday, starting Monday the 31st, we will be having a four-season revival at the church, at Union Mission Baptist Church number 1. We'll be praying for the city, the state, and for this nation, and certainly the general public is invited to share. We'll have parking lot praise, and a few people can come inside, but we're asking that you would take some time and to pray for our city, state, and for this nation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Green.
Madam Chair.
It'll be 7 o'clock nightly.
Councilwoman Taylor?
I would actually like for all of our citizens to please take heed to the warnings for flora that is happening. Take advantage of getting the sandbags. Please do not drive in high waters. This is a serious storm, and I don't want you to take it lightly. I'm not sure if many people are really taking this serious, but we are in the direct path of this storm with hurricane force winds. So please take this opportunity today and tomorrow to prepare. Have yourself enough food for 3 days. Please charge your electronic devices. Make sure that you have battery and portable chargers available. If you have a generator, have that as well. I know sheltering at this particular point, and I think Chief Wolverton can speak to that if need to, but I want to express the urgency of us making sure that we pay attention to what is happening within our region. Lake Charles has a mandatory evacuation at this particular time, so we need to make sure that we're actually paying attention to what's going on within our region. So let's keep our city and our state in your prayers, but I do believe that you need to pray and act accordingly. So make sure you get you some cash out the bank, fill your car up with gas. At this time, stay in. The fire department does not need your help, or Shreveport Police by riding around if they should have to perform search and rescue at this time. So I'm just gonna ask you and reiterating what the mayor is saying and what Chief Wolverton, Homeland Security, and Chief Ben Raymond has already stated. So please make sure that you govern yourselves accordingly.
Any other council members?
Councilman Bowman, can you, I'm not gonna be able to get to the bank. Can you let me have it?
Councilman Bowman, will you let him hold some money?
Yeah, I got a few dollars on me now. I get to you. I just want to recognize Miss Liz Swain. I didn't know if she had already spoke previous. I was a few minutes late, so I just wanted to say hello to you and if you had anything relevant to the meeting today. Okay, good seeing you.
Well, I don't want to keep Councilman Green from getting to go home and cook, so.
Oh, I'm gonna get some cash. I gotta cook.
Chairman Fleury, did you make it back?
No, he said he was stepping out.
All right, because it looked like he might have, just want to make sure. Shall we, before you go, can we just say a few words for him? Do you mind, Councilman Green?
Yes. Thank you, God, for this day, and thank you for this opportunity, another opportunity to tell you thank you. And we know that all over this country a storm is raging, and we ask that you would protect us, and as you always do, and we just ask you that you would just guide us and direct us. Thank you for this day, and thank you for this meeting, and thank you for us carrying it out in a manner that would give you glory. And Lord, we know that our chairman, Mr. Fleury, is sick, but he's still enduring, because you said in your word that race is not given to the swift, not to the strong, but the one that endure to the end. And we ask you just touch him right now. We ask that you'd send a healing angel to him in the name of Jesus. And thank you for this day. We thank you for what you've done. And we're going to praise you in advance for what you are going to do. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If there is nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.